Yay! Welcome, Toastmasters. Mary wasn't here to read my full introduction, but that's okay. What I'm going to be talking about is conflict resolution. I find it a coincidence that this month, Toastmaster magazine had an article about managing team conflicts. Coincidence that it happened when I needed to give a speech about conflict? I don't know. I don't believe in coincidence. I think things happen for a reason in our lives. And reading that article certainly helped me think about what I wanted to say to you today. Conflicts happen most often when we're working with other people. When we are working, well, anytime we're working with other people, theoretically, we're working in a team. And anytime you have humans working together, you're going to have conflict. People have different opinions. People think that things should be done different ways. And the key word in any kind of a team effort is the word communication. Relationship is important too, but you can't have good relationships with your team members unless you have good communication. The good teamwork provides positive cultures and produces better work. Well, I thought I'd talk a little bit about some times in my life when I worked with teams. Well, being a music teacher, part of my career, everything you do in music is a team, because even if you're giving private piano lessons, which I did on occasions, it's still a team between the teacher and the student. But when I was in the classroom, making music has to be a team effort, whether we're singing together. If we've got 15 students singing one song and 3 students singing a totally different song in a different key, it's not going to sing good. Or if somebody's out of tune or out of sync, working together as a team is important. And the team leader is the one that helps to resolve the conflicts that happen when things aren't going the right way. Between a boss and an employee, sometimes conflicts happen. I'll give you an example. My very first teaching job, I was a rookie, right straight out of college. I got a teaching job starting in the middle of the year, no less, in Toledo, Oregon. And I was teaching music. And being a rookie teacher and kind of a rookie at working with kids in the first place, looking back on it, I think I was doing pretty good. My students were doing well. My concerts turned out listenable and fun. My boss, he was kind of a grumpy old man, put it mildly. And at the end of my second year, he decided that his granddaughter, who was graduating from college that year with a degree in music, should be the music teacher. Well, he did everything he could to make my life miserable. And in as much as telling me that if I didn't quit, he was going to fire me. The only reason was because he wanted his granddaughter to be the teacher. Well, you can imagine that caused conflict. The way I got out of that conflict was doing the very best that I could in the job so that I knew that I had a good feeling about my job, which I did. I knew I did a good job, and everyone except for my boss knew that I was doing a good job, and I quit so that he didn't fire me. And so that was a time in my life when I had to figure out how to resolve conflict. Well, other conflicts happen in life too. But working with team, I was thinking when I was teaching 7th grade computer applications class, I had the kids divide up into teams to do a project, and they were to pretend like they were a rock group, and they had to plan out their itinerary, what stadiums they were going to sing at, how much they were going to charge for their tickets, just a whole thing that they had to do. But there were like 5 kids in each team. They had to get along with each other. And I had to oversee them and make sure they were getting along with each other. I had to make sure that each team member pulled their own weight. Because if one of the team members doesn't, that causes conflict. How to resolve that conflict is to get that person to pull their own weight. Well, sometimes with 7th graders, that's not always the easiest thing to do. Peer pressure, though, the other team members were probably better at getting that one person to pull their own weight than the teacher was, because they didn't want to get a bad grade on their project just because one person in the team was doing a lousy job at doing the project. So they learned how to work together. They learned how to communicate. And like I said earlier, communication is the key for resolving any kind of conflict. In a marriage, husbands and wives sometimes have conflicts with each other. Again, it's communication. Do we always get our own way? No, sometimes we have to compromise. Each person gets a little bit of their way to make it work. That's resolving conflict. One person on the team, whether it's husband, wife, whether it's a boss, employee, whether it's a teacher, students, whether it's Toastmasters in their club or their district, communication is the key for resolving any kind of conflict. And the person could talk all day on it, but I only had 7 minutes. So I'm going to let you think about this. Do you communicate well to solve the conflicts in your life? Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.